All right, so you know how this was like our first 70-degree weather, like what do they call it, full spring?
Something like that,
Right?
like first spring or yeah, full spring, is that
and
what they call
I feel
it?
like we haven't had like a fool's winter or a full spring in like years. Like it's either like cold or like we're back to summer. And I feel like now that it's literally snowing out right now, this was
Wild.
literally a fool's spring.
Totally get it, yeah.
But you know how we're like in like 15 to 20 different wars right now?
Yeah, I can't keep track. I don't know what's going on.
I'm not talking about politics, but like, did they ever think about just like maybe going outside in Manhattan Street and having like an Aperol spritz on a 70 sunny day?
Yeah.
Like that would solve every problem, right?
I think so.
Right? Have they ever thought about bringing their girlfriends and their guy friends and just like sitting out fresco with a martini in hand and be like, do we really need this?
I'm just having a cute little date. Like,
right.
Why is there anything else to worry about?
Why do we need more land or oil or anything? Why can't we just all sit outside in Manhattan and enjoy each other's company?
And just have a day. Yeah, I think that would be more likely if women ruled the world.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I think women would.
About that.
They'd be able to just be like, all right, let's just sit back, let's chat a little, let's be rational about this. I think men, they're just like they're just made differently.
They are. What's that book that was like really famous?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
I kind of want to read it. Do you know any like chapters from it?
No, I'm
curious because that was like a big book in what, like the 90s?
When we were kids. Yeah, like when we were kids, it was like the adults were talking about that, or the adults were like saying that saying a lot.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm down. Start a little book club.
Do you remember? Yeah, talk and just like read like old books that like probably are not relevant anymore.
Right,
now.
like they're totally like not politically correct. Like everything's wrong with them.
Do you remember when He's Just Not That Into You came out? And we were like maybe like 16, and we were reading it like we had years of experience. Like, oh man,
I know exactly.
Jack is not into me, like, because he's not returning my instant message.
So funny. I never read it, but I saw the movie, and I remember thinking like, yeah, like I think we all deep down know when someone's not into them.
Yeah.
But it's just the denial phase. Like you just can't shake it sometimes.
No, you're right.
You know.
Hi everyone, I'm Melanie.
And I'm Diana.
And we're two queens in a pod.
Cast. And we are two queens from Queens, giving you the Queen's perspective. And today, we are taking you out of Queens. And I think this is officially our first...
We're taking you out of Queens. Like, we've never gone out of Queens
before. Wait, let me rationalize why I just said that. This is the first neighborhood we're doing that's not a Queens neighborhood.
All right, now I feel you.
Yeah.
You brought me back.
Definitely not the first place we've done outside of Queens, but it's definitely the first neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it kind of checks out. Mm-hmm. We did a Flushing episode, which definitely brought in the idea of the Chinatown in Flushing and in Queens, but now we're going to bring it to the OG New York Chinatown.
Yeah, this is actually
Manhattan.
Incredibly interesting. Like, I was riveted by all the information that I found about Chinatown.
I didn't know how far back it went. I didn't know how far back immigration from China started, so I was very intrigued.
We should have talked about this before, but who's doing the intro?
I'm hoping you are.
Okay, I know. I have a good intro.
Okay, great. Okay. Because I don't.
Okay, so we're bringing you back to where that land stands now in Chinatown. 150 years ago, there was a pond called Collect Pond, and this was used for the drinking water of Manhattan. And during the 1800s, it just got so polluted. By 1811, they decided to fill in the pond and reclaim the land and make buildings and whatever Manhattan does to landfills, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting fact number one is how they drained the water was there was a canal that went into the Hudson River. So they drained the water from Collect Pond into the Hudson River. That canal was filled in and is called Canal Street.
OMG.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. So
all my synapses are just like igniting right now.
So
all the connections.
So this is where we're located. We're located below Canal Street is where Chinatown is now. So after they drained the pond and they started building land over it, it was not done correctly. Like they filled it in fugazi and like it was very swampy. There was like infested with mosquitoes. The buildings were like sinking to the ground. So a lot of the people who were more high class were like, I'm getting out of here because I'm not staying in this like godforsaken place.
So even though like there was concrete and stuff, it was done poorly because like the swamp still kind of seeped
it was like
through.
marshland. Yeah.
Got it.
So it drove out all of the upper class and became a hub for immigrants, low class immigrants that came in.
Yeah.
Because nobody would, live there.
Right.
So now we're here. It's Irish, it's Italian, African Americans are living there.
And this is what the area we would call 5 Points.
Yes.
Not the Queen's 5 Points, not the graffiti mecca.
Gangs of New York 5 Points.
Yeah, let's go way back.
Movie.
Yeah, we probably could just do a whole 5 Points episode.
We can do 5, so I didn't want to touch too much on that because it's a really interesting point. So there's this,
I agree with you,
There's this square back in the day called Paradise Square, and it was like known for all this like notorious thing that were happening, like gang fights and all of that. And 5 streets would meet it, and that's why it was called 5 Points.
It's when the 4 neighborhoods point. Okay.
So there was all of these new housing communities that were in such bad repair because of the marshland. But there was no housing governments, and like you could have no running water, you could have all this stuff, and like nobody cared about them because they were immigrants that were living there.
It was like the wild, wild west. This is where we get into like tenements a little bit too.
Yes, so that's all the tenements correctly.
Yeah, we have to do the tenement museum also. Like
there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here. So Jacob Reese, who is a known figure and is friends with Robert Moses and stuff like that.
Yeah, and wasn't he the one who made that whole, like you brought this up in one of our past episodes, he made that whole, I wouldn't say a documentary, but an essay, or he wrote something about how the other half lives.
Yep, okay. Exactly. Look at
you.
You're a historian. So he kind of was like a makeshift journalist where he was writing these books and he was taking these photos of the poor living conditions that these people were living in. And it kind of prompted the city to take action because everyone was in uproar for it.
Right.
So the city action that they took was they were just pretty much covered all of these like bad places with parks. So Paradise Square.
Still a park.
Yes.
Shut them up.
So Paradise Square was taken down, and now that's Columbus Park.
Okay.
Which is like a main park that's there. And there was also a prison that was like in such bad, like the prisons were like in the water because that's how bad it was.
It's like worse than Rikers.
Yep.
That's saying a lot.
They knocked that down, and where that is now, it's called Collect Pond Park, back to like where the pond was, and it's a replica of what the pond used to be there. So I think that's cool. I never even heard of that.
No.
Collect Pond Park.
No, and we didn't, when we made our visit, we didn't look at it, so we'll just take another visit when we do 5 Points.
We got it. Okay, so then that's where the land is. So now we're up to date. We're up to 1850s, right?
Yes.
And there's the big California gold rush.
Yeah.
And we have the Transcontinental Railroad. There's a lot of stuff happening in the U.S., and a lot of Chinese immigrants come to California to the California Gold Rush.
So the first Chinatown in the United States was on the West Coast in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first one.
Yeah, and everyone was working on the railroad. So a lot of Chinese immigrants were workers on this railroad.
Yeah.
Now the railroad's complete, and all of these Chinese immigrants are still living here, and everyone was like, they're taking our jobs, even though they were working on the railroad.
Yeah. So what I heard is like what really pushed people to migrate from California, or Chinese people to migrate from California to New York, was how people were treating them there, right? Like they were really being. Now, I don't think we were much better on the East Coast, but that was what pushed them and prompted them to leave, was how they were being treated and welcomed or unwelcomed in that area.
I think reading about this, and obviously, there's a lot of tension about immigration laws now. The way that the Chinese people were treated, that laws were against them
on the federal level.
I have to say, some of like the crazy, like really, really wild,
really crazy
awful stuff of how they were treated, and like I feel like not really talked about.
No, I mean, I think unfortunately, and I think something our civilization or our world is starting to realize is kind of giving the voices and shedding light on the histories of the people, both good and bad, and kind of acknowledging and facing some of the really awful things that our immigrant communities went through to get to this point, which is still not perfect either, in terms of treatment. But yeah, so 1850s, 1870s is when
everyone was coming east to the New York City area.
Yeah, so like a lot of sailors, a lot of laborers, and they settled a lot around Mott Street, Pell Street, and Doyers. So when you think of what Chinatown looks like now, that's only like a tiny, tiny percentage of what... Sorry, I'm not saying this correctly. It's much bigger now than it was when it first started.
And we could talk about why it's much bigger.
Yeah, and how, and over time.
Well, do you have information about how did they track this down is the most interesting. Did you do information about the, like, first Chinese person that lived in Chinatown?
Ever?
Do you want to give that information?
So I don't have the first person ever who moved to Chinatown. I think he
has a name.
Yeah. But what I had actually is even before the first person like set roots in Chinatown, even before California, anyone like really truly started making community there, apparently it's believed that the first Chinese person to ever come onto like United States soil may have been part of sort of like a circus act.
Okay.
Or like, this is an unfortunate truth, like a freak show in the sense that like people here were white. There was no one but white people in the United States in the beginning. And so there would be these shows to be like, look at an Asian person. And it was sort of this like spectacle. But that goes way before there was actually like creating roots and creating community. But who was the first
Okay, so
ever?
Ken is credited as the first Chinese person to permanently settle in New York City's Chinatown, arriving in 1858. He's a Cantonese businessman, and he established a successful cigar store on Park Row.
Nice.
And he says that he likely had a boarding house where he supported early immigration from all these Chinese communities that would come to the East Coast.
Yeah. Interesting. A cigar owner.
Yeah.
Why not?
Who wouldn't know?
Look at that.
Okay, so let's talk about the how it expanded. So we have to talk about...
Well, do you want to get a little bit into the 1882?
Yeah,
okay.
so the Chinese Exclusion Act. That's exactly where I want to go. So the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, signed by President Chester Arthur. This guy sounds like the worst.
He came right after Fillmore.
Yeah, you know your president.
I just know who came before and after him.
So he signed into law prohibiting all immigration of Chinese laborers for 10 years.
Which is crazy. It's a discriminatory law, and it caused a decade-long bachelor society. So at the time...
What is a bachelor society?
Only men.
Why? Why would that only cause
So,
men?
like...
Because, like, they were coming here to set up their families?
Exactly.
Okay.
So a lot of the time, yes, exactly. Like, the men would come first, set up shop, and then they would bring their families over afterwards. Yeah. But this law sort of stopped that natural order.
Stuck,
and, like, a bunch of men were just stuck in this area. And then did you get that during this time, a lot of, like, underground brothels and gambling spots sort of emerged?
Uh-huh.
And so these brothels, you would think were Asian women or Chinese women, but they were actually white women.
Yeah, I guess, like, how would they get here? Yeah.
They were white women who would run in these brothels, these, like, underground, like, kind of brothels, gambling quarters. And this was kind of the, I don't know, what's the word? The underground world of Chinatown during this time.
Huh. Interesting.
Because you leave a bunch of guys, they're going to make brothels and gambling spots.
Yeah.
What more do they need? I'm kidding. Go on.
It also denied Chinese residents already in the U.S. Ability to become citizens. And there also was a birthright citizenship, which was one of the first Supreme Court rulings. Wong Kim Ark, he challenged the government because he was a birthright citizen, and the government tried to like kick him out or something in California, and the Supreme Court ruled in his favor. And I think that this is really interesting to me because even in the day and age now where somebody is trying to take away birthright citizen, like you're talking 200 years ago when this was so, racism was even, like, I would say arguably worse.
Of course.
And they
but
still
is it?
favor. I know, is it? No,
Which is crazy that I hear that these issues are still occurring now, like how many years later.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
You know.
But it's like, it was always, like, that was always like, that's in the Constitution. Like, birthright citizenship is a constitutional right.
Right.
And they argued in his favor. So I thought that was really interesting.
Okay.
But, okay, so here we are. During this time, we could talk about our favorite street.
Doyers.
So during this time, a lot of gangs formed because we're back in New York City, by the way. A lot of gangs formed because of Asian racism.
Yeah.
And the gangs, they have interesting name. Ghost Shadow was a gang, and Flying Dragon.
All right, which one would you want to be? Ghost
Flying
Shadow or
Dragon.
Flying Dragon? I kind of like Ghost Shadow.
Ghost Shadow. That's a good one.
We would have been on opposite gangs.
Ooh. Aye.
And then they were actually called tongs, I guess. Did you get that?
Yeah,
That the actual... And that kind of brings us to one of the most famous streets in Chinatown.
Take it away. I know you want to.
Doyes Street.
Doyes Street.
This area was known as Bloody Angle. And at this time, around the 1920s...
Do you know why it has a 90-degree angle? Because it all comes from the pond.
The swamp?
Yeah. It was a stream. It was a stream that was from the pond. So that's the filled-in land was...
Got it.
A twist of the pond. Yeah.
Right. It was like a bend of the river.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so... That's why it's such a sharp angle. That makes sense. And it was referred to as Bloody Angle because this was a very popular spot for opposing gangs to kind of do sneak attacks on one another because you could easily jump out of that corner and attack.
These Chinese gangs fighting each other?
That's what it seems like. Yeah, that's what I get.
Like it would be like the mafia families don't all love each other, right? I guess it's not like
exactly like they're trying to. People
property,
seeking power.
Yeah, power.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of goes like gangs in New York kind of stuff. I mean, men stuff. Men just
stuff.
fighting over stuff.
Not drinking al fresco, okay?
They are not having the mimosas. They're not having the Aperol spritz. They are fighting and killing each other on Doyes Street. And on that note, this street actually like cranked up the highest murder rate in the country at this point. Like this was crazy. This was like really intense.
Well, so we took a little side quest when we went to McSorley's.
McSorley's. Just say McSorley's.
When we went to their birthday party, it was Lunar New Year, and I was like, we have to go to Chinatown. It's so close. Let's go. It was phenomenal. We had such a good time. We could talk more about that.
And we stopped at the oldest tea house, I believe, right? Ooh, what's the name? I feel like we should say
look it
this.
Up. But we were on Doyer Street.
Yes.
And so this is a really funny story. So only like maybe 2 weeks before we went there, one of my friends was having a birthday party at Chinese Tuxedo, which is like a really great restaurant in Chinatown. And it was the night before one of the first big snowstorms we had. Not the second blizzard one, but the first one that was like the ice storm one.
Yes.
And I never really go to Chinatown, but I was like, like I can figure it out, whatever. It was on Doyer Street. It's like right around the bend, like the killing bend or whatever. I had to tell you, it was completely empty. Bloody angle. And I was like, this is like really creepy. And I didn't know that information before you told me. And maybe I felt the spirits of the murdered people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very creepy at night.
You might have some medium powers.
It is kind of cool there, though. Like, it's nice. It's not like run down or dingy. It's just like, it's if you feel
at night, it could be a little creepy because of that angle. Like, you don't know what's on the other side. So that could be, scary. Mm-hmm. But on that same note, something else, I would say a monumental eatery in Chinatown is also located on Doyer Street. I pulled up the name, Namwa Tea Parlor. It's been open since 1920. Arguably one of the oldest tea parlors in Chinatown. Why are we laughing?
When we were there, they have like pictures of like famous people on the wall, and you were like, "There's that guy my husband likes." But I was like, "Who? Where?" And you're like, "He's right next to." Who was the person?
Oh, Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, it was like Kirsten Dunst and like this like random food guy.
Andrew Zimmern. So we go there and it's like it reminded me a lot of
Kirsten Dunst.
It reminded me a lot of like and this is kind of the crossing of cultures in a lot of way. It reminded me of like an old school diner. How all the celebrities will have like a picture of them with it signed and be like So I just pointed out Andrew Zimmern and it was next to Kirsten Dunst. I don't know. It was very random, but yeah.
It was really nice in there. But okay,
really good food too, and affordable.
Affordable,
really affordable. Yeah.
Okay, so in 1960s, the Hart Cellar Act, which was so monumental, was. Or did you have something before that? I'm sorry.
This is 1940s.
This is 1960s.
I have something in 1943. It was the repeal of the Chinese Exclusion Act.
Okay, yeah.
So they repealed that act. Yeah.
But they still had a quota.
Exactly.
Yeah, they still had a quota of citizens that were allowed. I think it was like 105.
Exactly.
Like they would only let 105 people become citizens.
Yeah. So like in World War II, they repealed that act, but it was still extremely limited. It wasn't like, come one, come all. It was still like only 100 of you can come every year. Only 100, Chinese immigrants can come every year. But it did help the initial stabilization of the
stabilization,
families, of bringing families to these men is becoming less and less like a bachelor society and more like a family. Families were getting reunited at this time.
Right, and you have to think the Chinese Exclusion Act was 1882. This is now we're 1940s, 1960s. This is like almost 100 years later that this is going on. Yeah. Okay, so 1960s, the Hart-Celler Act. This removed the race-based quota, which we just talked about for immigration. It was signed at the base of the Statue of Liberty, which was so monumental because of the meaning of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah,
and
like
just, like opening this
bring me your week, bring me your what it says
American
on the
melting pot, where she's melting the people. Like, people always don't understand that, but you gotta melt the people, and that's what makes America.
I still don't like that imagery. I don't like the idea of the Statue of Liberty cooking humans. I just don't like it. I know you love Schoolhouse Rocks. Schoolhouse Rocks.
Schoolhouse of Rocks.
I don't like the imagery. I just don't like it. It's very cannibalistic. I don't like to think of the Statue of Liberty as a cannibal. But go on.
Okay.
American melting pot.
Yeah, I don't know why they use that. Anyway. Well, it's a melting pot. But it's also called, like, that was the wording, was like it was a melting pot.
I know, but you know what I would have liked better?
Okay, what would you like?
The people surrounding the pot and putting their food into it.
Okay.
Not putting themselves into it and boiling. That's really weird.
All right, I see your point.
All right, cool.
Okay, so this lifts the quota, and this is like when the big
huge influx. Yeah, so a lot of Cantonese speaking immigrants come in from Hong Kong and Guangdong. Sorry if I mispronounce anything. And so at this point, it's still a lot of Cantonese speaking Chinese people who are immigrating. But this is kind of opening the floodgates, and like everyone's coming in, families are getting reunited, families are able to grow, families are able to get connected. And then actually this rapid expansion just continues in the 1970s and 80s, so much so that this is when the Flushing, Queens Chinatown starts developing.
And there's like in Sunset Park,
1980s, 1990s is really when.
And now there's a Staten Island, apparently.
Is that right?
Yeah, growing in Staten Island as
well. Because it's interesting. My dad grew up in Bay Ridge in that Sunset Park area. My grandma, my nanny lived there up until she passed away in, what year was that? Not too recent, not too far away.
Yeah, not too
And
far.
they really saw the change. Like they saw the change of Sunset Park being a predominantly like Irish, Italian, maybe even some mobsters in there, changing into the more like the Chinatown that it is now. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think we said this before, but Chinatown in New York City is home to the highest concentration of Chinese people in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. Wow. And now, I mean, I think as far as like population is concerned, I think Flushing population is way higher than Chinatown's population is as far as Asian.
I'm not sure. I didn't look.
Asian ethnicities.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. I mean, it also is just larger. Flushing is just larger than like these couple blocks of Manhattan. Yeah.
I know. So I got so confused because I was Googling it and I was like, what's the biggest Chinatown?
Means like small, like it means like a small area. So like concentration
the most amount of people in a small
it'd be
amount
like
of
if
area.
I have like 300 people in this apartment, it's like that concentration is just this apartment and I have like 300 people.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, because I was like.
Doesn't mean like the number of people. It means like the number of people in a small amount of.
Okay, it's just how you like tweak the numbers in that case. Yeah. Okay, but just to kind of go on the size of it, it was really in the 1970s and 80s that Manhattan's Chinatown really grew past this like 8-core small block and just started blossoming and growing more and more. And it actually displaced a little bit of Little Italy. Like Little Italy used to be much bigger, and then just the amount of immigration that happened with the Chinese community sort of switched that, and Chinatown became bigger than Little Italy. Okay. And that kind of dynamic shifted. And then also in the 1980s and 1990s is when people from Fuzhou started coming. Like, yes. And people who were more Fujianese speaking Chinese. Because, like, there's 3 different... I think there's even more than 3 different dialects. But, like, Mandarin, Cantonese, and now Fujianese. And this is what brought that dialect and that group of Chinese people to the New York City Chinatown community as well. But yeah.
Yeah, so I did a little research on Lunar New Year. So we're doing Chinatown, but we were there for Lunar New Year,
which was so cool. Please go. Like
I guess we can talk about our experience there.
Yeah, it was just for me like a massive block party.
Yeah,
like, every single block in Chinatown.
Was, like, so happy.
Yeah, and every single block in Chinatown was just like blocked off. Like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, when certain parades, it's just one street. Like, the whole neighborhood was blocked out. Like, no cars could come through. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't even see the floor because there was so much confetti.
Yeah.
And so much, like, what do you call that?
Silly string?
Silly string. Mm-hmm. There you go. And I feel like one of my favorite images from our time there was the silly string guy who was selling it to kids. Mm-hmm. They went back after him and started silly stringing him. And they were just silly stringing each other. And it was just this very, like, multi-generational moment of fun and laughter, and I just thought it was the cutest thing. It was so much fun.
I thought it was. I mean, we had such a good time. I'm so glad that we like took the time to like go there and do that, because I mean, just another thing, like just being a New Yorker and being like, it's gonna be so crazy there, like let's just not go. And it was just really nice to go and see, you know.
I enjoyed it like 100 times more than the St. Gennaro Fest, because the St. Gennaro Fest is so crowded, because it was like it's all packed on that one block.
I know. Yeah, we were talking about like different blocks. Yeah, it was that
on Mott, right?
Like really, really crazy.
It's really crazy, and it's really blocked off. Whereas this is much more open and like, I don't know, it was a little more. Felt more liberating. You didn't feel like a sardine packed in.
I guess you also don't have like vendors out on the street.
That's true.
Was, like, taking up half the space.
That's true. There wasn't like Ferris wheels and things like that.
Yeah, there wasn't like a Ferris wheel in the middle of the street. But okay, a little bit about Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
So the Lunar New Year always falls on a different day because it follows the moon, lunar, over dates. So it's always the second new moon after the winter solstice, which is December 21st. So that's why the day is always different, because the moon cycle is shorter than 30 days, which is our typical month. It's usually 29 and a half.
Got it.
Okay, so the Lunar New Year follows two things. It follows 12 zodiac animals, and each animal is represented in that year. This is the year of the horse.
Okay.
Okay, so how they thought of the 12 different zodiac animals, so there's like a rattlesnake. I'm not going to name them all.
Yeah.
But how they thought of this, how it's based on a story. So there was a story about the Jade Emperor who had a race to see what the 12 zodiac animals would be. And the first 12 animals that crossed the finish line were the were the zodiac sign animals.
Cool.
And each animal has like a funny story, and I'm not going to go through all the stories except for the one which is 1989, which is the snake. We're the year of the snake.
Like it. So look, I have a snake ring.
Wow, if people can't see, she has a snake ring that she's showing the camera. Okay.
Now there's an actual meaning. I just did it because I like the snake, but now I can say it's my year.
So this snake, how he won was, we're the sixth animal that crossed the finish line. It coiled itself around the horse, and then right before the finish line, it jumped out, and the horse was like, it scared the horse, and it crossed before the horse. So last year was the year of the snake. This year's the year of the horse. So the year of the snake, you're supposed to really like last year you should have done this, is like what's it like when they get rid of their skin?
Oh,
shedding. Yeah, you like have to shed all of your negative energy, because the year of the horse is all about being like impulsive and like just being adventurous and like following, your heart. So here are some qualities of the snake. We're thoughtful, we're very intuitive, we follow our gut. We're kind, but we're very private people. We don't like always, we're not very showy.
Okay.
And to this year of the horse, what our year means is that we need to take all of that and get out of our comfort zone and like follow our gut,
take some
even
risks.
More movement. Yeah, it's like very big in like our ambitious, like be ambitious. Is like what we need to
do all the things.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that we're getting this early in the year too.
I know. Yeah, you're figuring it out now, right?
Yeah, because like if you told me this like in November, I'd be like, oh my god, what a wasted year.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
They also follow the element cycle. So wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. They follow it every 2 years. So last year, we're on the fire right now. Last year was fire 2, and then next year will be earth. So we're a fire horse. That only happens every 60 years. So all those things, being motivation, being adventurous, like you're it's heightened, like you're supposed to even do more. So like that's why.
Wow.
So
and I'm a fire sign too, as Aries. What does that mean?
This is your year, I think.
This might really be my year.
Be your year.
Are you bringing up how you had all these rules for me the day of?
So I'm like, did you take a shower? And she's like, oh
no,
my
wash
God,
your hair.
I smell? Yeah,
that's what
she's like, no, I didn't. Why does it look bad? I said, no, you're not supposed to take a shower. And I do like all these rules of
because
Lunar New Year.
You know that day in your like I don't know, I'm sure it's similar to you. Like there's the day that you could wash your hair, or you could just like pin it back. Yeah, put it back. So I did that, and so when you asked me if I washed my hair, I was like, oh my God, do I look like really greasy and gross? Like what is happening?
But yeah,
but that was a rule. Do you know why?
Like rules. Because like it'll be like you're washing off your luck, like you're washing off.
Okay.
Because everything's about like good luck.
Got it.
And like red's very prominent. But to all this, like, really, I mean, like, Mulan was, like, one of my favorite movies growing up, and, like, I find just Asian culture just so fascinating, and I think I was, like, having a thought process about this.
Yeah.
And we're so heavily influenced by European culture.
Right.
And, like, all of European, and, like, I'm trying to think of, like, how I can explain this in a way that's interesting. So, European culture is very rooted in, I would say, religion. Like, as far as, like, stories of the past are concerned, is, like, religion and, like, Adam and Eve and, like, things of the Bible. Uh-huh. Where, like, in
and
Asian
newer religions,
culture,
I would say, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Asian culture, a lot of it is, like, spirits and these stories of, like, all these, like, destinies and interesting characters. And somebody looking out. And a lot of the reason why there was so much like racism is because they found it so exotic. Like we were like, that is like a crazy thing that like they're so invested in dragons and everything. It's like, I think because we were growing up on something completely different.
Yeah. Like, would you say European religion is more like monotheistic, whereas Chinese religions are more polytheistic, meaning like more than one god?
Well, I think one of their main religions is like Buddhism.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that's more of a polytheistic. Okay,
I got what you're
similar
saying.
To South Asian as well. That there's not just one god, that there's like many gods. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Similar, like I would say to like Greek and Roman stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in some ways, I don't know if I'm going to sound stupid here, but wouldn't you say I don't know which is like the oldest civilization, but I'd say they're one of the oldest.
Mecca.
Chinese. What?
Mecca. Isn't that like one of the old ones?
No, Mecca is where Islam.
Isn't that like the Middle East?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like, everything's like Middle East, right? I don't know what the oldest civilization isn't that like. I don't know. We're talking about like.
No, I think some of like the most ancient civilizations are like Greek, Roman, and then I do think like Chinese.
We used to learn.
Pretty ancient.
I was gonna say we used to learn all of this and stuff, and then it's like just out of your head, like when you leave school.
I just have like a vague understanding.
I kind of want to like do more research on it.
Yeah, but I know it's like one of the oldest civilizations out there. You know what I mean? And so,
I just because in a lot of the things are like spirits from their ancestors and like how connected they are to their past families and like people that were in their ancestors that they never met, and how important that is to their culture. And I find that just like so beautiful. I feel like there's like so many people in my family that like I don't even know, or like we don't talk about them because a lot of my family immigrated from Italy and like we're never there and talk to them, and it's like I don't know anything about my roots, and like their culture is so heavily invested in their roots. It's just like really, I don't know, just like such a beautiful thing. And I think why do people like hate other different cultures? I don't know. I just like blows my mind. It really does.
I think, this is really appropriate because
what does your shirt say?
This is Going Electric, which is Bob Dylan. But one of his standout lines in Times They Are Changing is like, don't criticize what you don't understand. Mm-hmm. Like, I think a lot of the time when people don't understand something, they get really self-defensive and they go on the attack instead of like being more
like, tell me more,
or like asking questions. Mm-hmm. Like, I think people could like have really big egos and they could get really on the defense when they don't understand something. And like, I just think people aren't creative enough or curious enough, and it's a lot of fear. And I think that's so sad. But I'm so glad that
men stuff.
Exactly. It all comes. just men who just are really just scared of asking questions of not knowing. It's really wild.
But I think the scariest thing for a man is to ask a question.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
For
Asking
some,
for
for
help,
some at
asking
least.
questions.
For
Like there's
some.
that whole thing where it's like, oh, Jeremy and Michelle broke up, and it's like, what? They've been together for years. Why? And he's like, I didn't ask. You know, like that whole thing on the internet. Like,
yes.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask.
But they're also not curious. Like, you know what I mean?
That's asking questions.
Right.
Isn't it curious? Like,
But you have to be curious to even ask a question.
Okay.
Like, for example, like I was on that same note, I was like, my husband, one of my husband's friends, like went through a breakup, and I was like, what had happened? How did it happen? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, you're not curious?
And he wasn't.
He's like,
"No,
that's
I'm
his
not."
business, not mine. And I'm like, all right, but like, geez, that's so like, for me, like I think some people would see it as nosy, but I think it's just like.
I don't care. I'm nosy.
Yeah,
I want to know.
this is the point of
Call me
life.
nosy.
Isn't the point of life is to like be curious and to ask things?
Yeah.
Like you know is it the Socratic method? So like Socrates, talk about ancient times. His whole thing was like ask questions. Don't even say anything is certain. Just have a bunch of questions for everything. Like if you and I had a Socratic conversation, we would just ask questions
Just
back and forth.
But then, is it, if I ask you a question, are you asking me a question back? Like, or you're answering the question?
You want to try it?
No, that would drive me insane.
Well, the idea is that with questions, the answers arise organically.
Okay, all right, okay, let's go.
All right.
You go first.
So why do you think men are so afraid of not knowing?
Do you think that it's because they don't want to know the answers?
Do you think they don't want to know the answers because it's safer to be ignorant?
Do you... I just want to be like, yes.
I know. They think ignorance is bliss, but it's not.
Yeah, it's fine.
But you get the idea,
get it,
like,
yeah.
we were just like, what's a cat, what's a dog? Like, they follow, there's a following thing, and then you end up getting the answer sometimes.
Okay.
Like, living in the questions.
Yeah. Okay.
But, wow, like, just even that, look where our brains are going.
Yeah.
But, essentially, I would 1,000% recommend going to
Yeah.
Lunar New Year in
and everybody live their best fire horse year and do something good. Don't do something bad. You know,
Yeah.
just do something good.
Take risks that don't
Be
hurt
curious.
anyone else. Yes,
Good
be
curious.
curious.
Not more curious George, less curious.
Someone evil about his episode.
Who's like an evil, curious person.
Who's an evil, curious person? Wow, I don't know. I can't think of one. Yeah. But, like, live in the questions. Tap outside of your comfort
Don't be
zone.
A sneak,
Yeah.
You know?
Don't be... Oh, wait, what's, like, swiper? No swiping.
That's him, Swiper.
Yeah, don't
be Swiper from Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
He would always steal stuff from her backpack.
Yeah.
Don't be Swiper.
Be Curious George.
yeah.
Be, like, Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
Nancy
She's good.
Drew, yeah.
She's a classic.
Classic Nancy.
Good old Nancy. I haven't thought about her in years. All right. Well, thanks for always listening, and I hope you didn't miss us too much, but we're back.
Woo woo. Bye.